Mount Nyangani, a sacred mountain that swallows people, including a minister's 2 daughters. My name is David, and I need to tell this story. I don't know who needs to hear it, but I can't keep it bottled up anymore. It happened 5 years ago, and it still haunts me. I don't sleep well, and I can't look at mountains the same way. This is about Mount Nyangani and how it took my brother, Mark. We grew up hearing the stories, of course. Everyone in Zimbabwe knows about Nyangani. The disappearances, the strange weather, the local legends about angry spirits. We dismissed them as old wives' tales. We were young, adventurous, and thought we knew better. Mark was always the bolder one. He loved hiking, climbing, anything that pushed him to his limits. When he suggested we hike Nyangani during our holiday, I was hesitant, but he was so excited. He'd read about the views from the summit, the unique flora and fauna, and he was determined to conquer it. We did some research, but nothing prepared us for the reality of that place. We knew it was the highest mountain in Zimbabwe, standing at 2,592 meters. We packed appropriately, or so we thought. We arrived in Nyanga in early November. The weather was pleasant, sunny with a slight breeze. We found a local guide, a middle-aged man named Joseph, who seemed knowledgeable and respectful of the mountain. He warned us about the unpredictable weather and the importance of sticking to the trails. He also mentioned the local beliefs, the need to respect the spirits, and to avoid certain things. "Don't pick up anything you find," he said, his voice low. "Especially if it's gold, or a strange snake, or a pot. Just leave it. Pretend you didn't see it." We chuckled, thinking he was just being superstitious, but he was serious. He kept looking at us with worry in his eyes. The first day of the hike was uneventful. The scenery was stunning, with waterfalls cascading down the slopes and lush vegetation everywhere. Joseph was a good guide, pointing out interesting plants and animals, and sharing stories about the area. We saw baboons, zebras, and kudus. As we climbed higher, the weather started to change. The sky became overcast, and a thick mist began to roll in. It was eerie, but also beautiful in a way. Joseph seemed uneasy. "We need to keep moving. The mountain doesn't like it when the mist comes," he said. Quickening his pace, we pushed on, but the mist grew thicker, reducing visibility to just a few meters. It felt like we were walking through a cloud. The temperature dropped, and a damp chill settled in. That's when things started to go wrong. We reached a fork in the trail. Joseph paused, looking confused. "I don't remember this," he said, scratching his head. "This trail wasn't here before." He consulted his map, but it was no use. The map didn't show the new trail. We were lost. We tried to backtrack, but the mist had disoriented us. Every direction looked the same. Panic started to set in. "Stay calm. We'll figure this out. We just need to stay together," Joseph said, trying to reassure us. We huddled together, trying to keep warm and maintain our bearings. The mist swirled around us, playing tricks on our eyes. We could hear strange sounds, whispers rustling in the bushes, and something that sounded like laughter but distant and distorted. Mark, ever the adventurer, decided to scout ahead. "I'll just go a little way," he said. "See if I can find the trail." I protested, but he wouldn't listen. "Don't worry," he said with a grin. "I'll be back in a few minutes." That was the last time I saw him. He walked into the mist and vanished. We called out his name, but there was no response. We waited, hoping he would reappear, but he never did. Joseph was frantic. He blew his whistle, shouted Mark's name, but nothing. The mist seemed to swallow the sound. We searched for hours, but it was hopeless. The mist was too thick, the terrain too treacherous. We were completely lost, and now Mark was gone too. Finally, Joseph made the decision to go back down the mountain to get help. He left me with a small amount of food and water, and instructions to stay put. "Don't move," he said, his eyes filled with fear. "Just stay here. They don't like it when you move." "Who?" I asked.
But he didn't answer. He just turned and disappeared into the mist. I was alone, terrified, and completely helpless. The hours that followed were the longest of my life. The mist pressed in on me, suffocating me. The strange sounds continued, growing louder and more menacing. I felt like I was being watched, like something was circling me, waiting for me to make a mistake. I tried to stay calm, but my imagination was running wild. I remembered the stories we'd heard about Nyangani, the people who had disappeared without a trace, the vengeful spirits. I started to believe them. As darkness fell, the temperature plummeted. I huddled under a tree, shivering and praying for morning to come. The sounds intensified. I heard footsteps close by, but I couldn't see anything in the mist. I heard whispers calling my name, beckoning me to come closer. I closed my eyes, covered my ears, and tried to block it all out. I must have drifted off to sleep because the next thing I remember is waking up to the sound of voices. It was dawn, and the mist had cleared slightly. I could see Joseph and a group of rescuers approaching. They looked relieved to find me. They took me down the mountain and I told them what had happened. They launched a search for Mark, but it was futile. They searched for days, using helicopters and tracking dogs, but they found nothing. No sign of him, no trace of his presence. It was as if he had simply vanished into thin air. They never found him. The authorities questioned me, but I couldn't tell them anything they didn't already know. They considered the possibility that he had fallen or been attacked by a wild animal, but there was no evidence to support either theory. The local community had their own explanation. They believed that Mark had been taken by the spirits of the mountain, that he had offended them in some way, and that he would never be seen again. I don't know what to believe. All I know is that my brother is gone, and that Mount Nyangani is a cursed place. I've tried to move on, but I can't. The memory of that day, the fear, the helplessness, the sound of his voice as he walked into the mist, it's all still there, haunting me. I'm sharing this story now because I want people to know the truth about Nyangani. It's not just a beautiful mountain, it's a dangerous place, a place where people disappear, a place where the line between the natural and the supernatural blurs. If you ever consider hiking Nyangani, please think twice. Respect the mountain, respect the local beliefs, and be careful. Because if you're not, the mountain might just take you too. I'm still haunted by the what-ifs. What if we hadn't gone hiking that day? What if we had listened to Joseph's warnings? What if I had stopped Mark from scouting ahead? I will never know. All I have left are the memories, the regret, and the chilling certainty that Mount Nyangani holds a dark secret, a secret that claimed my brother's life. I've heard stories since then, whispers from locals, tales of others who have vanished on that mountain. In 1981, 2 young girls who were daughters of a former government minister vanished without a trace. 5 years later, an 8-year-old tourist also disappeared. And just before Mark, there was a tourist of Indian descent who went hiking alone and was never seen again. And today, here I am, telling a story about my own brother, who also mysteriously disappeared without a trace. The stories are always the same. People venture onto the mountain, and they disappear. Sometimes there are searches, sometimes not. But the mountain never gives them back. I've tried to find answers, to understand what happened to Mark. I've spoken to traditional healers, visited the local villages, and read everything I can find about Nyangani. Some say the mountain is a portal to another world, a place where the veil between the living and the dead is thin. Others believe that the spirits of the ancestors guard the mountain, punishing those who disrespect it. Some even believe that there are creatures living on the mountain, creatures that are not of this world. I don't know which explanation is true, but I do know that there is something strange about Nyangani, something that defies logic and reason. I've never gone back to Nyanga, and I never will. The mountain took my brother, and I don't want it to take anything else from me. I hope that by sharing my story, I can warn others about the dangers of Nyangani, and perhaps in some small way, honor Mark's memory. He was a good man, a loving brother, and a passionate adventurer. He didn't deserve to die on that mountain. So please, if you ever hear the call of Nyangani, remember my story, remember Mark, and think twice before you answer. The mountain is beautiful, but it's also deadly. And sometimes the things you can't see are the most dangerous of all. I still dream of him sometimes. He's standing on the trail, beckoning me to join him. The mist is swirling around him and his face is obscured. I want to go to him, but I know I can't. I know that if I follow him into the mist, I'll never come back. And so I stay here, haunted by the memory of my brother and the mountain that took him away. That's my story. Mount Nyangani is not a place to be trifled with. It's a place of beauty, but also a place of darkness, a place where the line between the real and the unreal blurs, and where the spirits of the mountain still roam free.